I'm Lillymu961. Pleasure to meet you guys, since this is the first time that I'm on camera, and, well, I'm probably not making the best impression due to my hair being a bit whack, and I kind of slept in my makeup last night, so my eyes probably look a bit raccoonish and things such as that, but I kind of want to talk to you guys today about something serious, which is odd because I normally don't do this sort of thing on my channel. I usually just sing and go about my business, but today, what in the world was that sound? That was weird. But today I want to talk to you guys about politics a little bit. Now, don't get scared. It's nothing. I'm not going to talk about Trump versus Hillary or any of the post-election nonsense. I'm going to talk about us. I'm going to talk about us as a nation. I'm going to talk about how, through the course of the election and post-election, how we've treated each other. There's been a lot of hate during this whole process. Regardless of what side you were on, there were a lot of people who contributed to negativity, to bashing one another. Families have broken apart because of politics. Even in my own family, there was a lot of division and splitting and a lot of arguments. There were some who got mad at me for just sending, information about things. You know, my integrity was attacked. And it's not really that I'm blaming them for it, because, sometimes when you're frustrated and you don't know how to defend your side, you do hit below the belt. And I'm not going to say that I didn't do the same thing at times. I probably did. And for that, I apologize. Because when you get right down to it, a lot of this stuff, while it is very important, we shouldn't let it break apart, family connections. We shouldn't let it break apart friendships. Because at the end of the day, we all have to unify whoever gets elected. And since Trump did get elected, we all have to unify, and accept that he's our president now. Or he's going to be our president in a couple of months. Well, in 1 month. 2 months. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with just calming down and just realizing that it is what it is. And even, I just really don't see the point in still being angry about it, or why a lot of people were angry to begin with. Because again, while the election is very important, it's not important enough to where, after the fact, you're still gonna commit hate crimes against each other, or, deface public property, or, in some cases, put your own child out on the street just because he voted for Trump in a mock school election that doesn't even matter. I don't understand how any mother could do that to her child, ever. It's not right on any level, ever. And none of that hate is right on any level, ever. Never. And so what we need to do as a nation now is put that aside, because it doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't. The point of the election is to peacefully transfer power. And when people go out in the street and just riot, or, deface public property, or, put their own kids out on the street, or beat people up because of who they voted for, that's contributing to the problem, contributing to more negativity, contributing to more, just to more evil. And it's not right. It's never been right. And other nations are watching us really closely right now, and people who are doing this, you are making a mockery of what America stands for. We are supposed to stand for liberty and justice. And when you do these sorts of things, when you act like maniacs, when you're constantly getting into arguments with one another and can't deal with whatever it is you can't deal with, you make a mockery of this nation. You make a mockery of all of its people, whether you be white or black or Hispanic or Asian. It doesn't matter what race you are to me. I'm pro people all day, every day. And we're supposed to be one nation under God, and we're all supposed to be equal with one another, and we're all supposed to care about one another. And the fact that we can't do that is a mockery to the people who fought and died for it. And how dare anybody have the audacity to act entitled when you haven't fought for anything? There are a lot of people who are angry about Trump being president who didn't vote in the first place. As one of my friends tells me, if you didn't vote, if you didn't exercise your right, rather your privilege to vote, you don't have the right or the privilege to complain about it because you didn't contribute anything to it. So therefore, you have nothing to say, or you shouldn't say anything about it because, again, you didn't vote. So don't get mad if you didn't get your way if you didn't vote. And I'm talking more to older people, not really younger people who aren't old enough to vote yet. And at the same time, like, I heard a report where high school students were skipping school to go protest. What? High school students are required by law to go to school every day unless for excusable circumstances such as being sick or a family member dying or things like that. And you mean to tell me that these kids skip school to go protest about something that, some of them may not have even researched about or didn't really know much about? They just, skipped school because, there were a couple students who did have a reason to protest who, ended up doing their thing. And they're like, oh, we can skip school too. Let's do that. Just get out of class for the day. I'm sure there were some of them who were like that. I mean, if I were in high school still, and yeah, I mean, maybe, who knows? I might have skipped school for that reason, and these kids, aren't getting reprimanded for that. The teachers, of these schools, they're like, oh yes, they're exercising their right to protest and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, yeah, and that's fine. I mean, it is, a citizen's right to be able to peacefully protest, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, when you pretty much break the law to go do something like that, I mean, it's not one of those excusable circumstances, and you advocate that. Basically, if any other issue comes up and these kids want to protest and just skip school, you're basically saying, oh yeah, you can do that. That's no problem. No, that's not right. Those kids are there to get an education. And, you have a job to educate those students and to make sure they're in class. I mean, that's the whole point of school. Otherwise, why bother with it? I mean, there's just a lot of craziness going on. And maybe by the time that I upload this, some of that would have died down, hopefully. But it's just the continuous, news coverage over and over of this negativity, of this hatred, just of people attacking one another, and just, it's madness to me. I don't understand it. Someone explain it to me, why we feel the need to attack each other, why we feel the need to see the worst in people, no matter what they say, no matter any apology that they make, or no matter whatever circumstances. We just choose to see the worst in people. We choose to escalate this negativity. We choose to make it worse instead of making it better. And I don't understand why anyone would do that. If there's a problem, you're supposed to fix it. You're not supposed to make it worse. So, really what I'm saying here is that this negativity, this anger, it's not worth it. It's not worth the pain. It's not worth the suffering. It's not worth the continual stress. I mean, because stress is debilitating to your health. I can tell you, my mom has Crohn's disease, and part of the reason that she ended up getting Crohn's disease, which isn't curable, by the way, is due to stress. So stress is a killer. Anytime that you stress yourself, you are contributing to poison in your body. So yeah, there's that too. I mean, just thinking about, you know, all the families and all the people who are just suffering like this, suffering with the stresses and the anguish of all this stuff when they don't know what's going to happen yet. I understand that, when something's unknown, it is scary. Like, we don't know exactly what Trump's going to do. And, for a lot of people, that's scary. It's not for me. I voted for him. So it's not something that's scary for me because, I decided based on my core values on the fact that I don't agree with abortion, that I don't support gay marriage, and other such things like that. I decided to vote for Trump based on those things, based on the things that, based on my moral principles, based on my Christian values. That's what I voted on. And I prayed, during the course of, the actual election with the states lighting up on the TV and whatnot. I prayed that God would give us what is best for this nation, regardless whether it would have been Trump or Hillary. I did not care at that point. I just wanted whoever was best for the nation, who would do good for this nation. That's what I wanted. And I know that God answers prayer. And so when Trump did win, I was okay. I was glad. I was very glad because in my mind, I was like, God answered my prayer. He gave us what was best. And you know what? If Hillary had won, would have still been thankful to God because, God is in control. And I know there are a lot of people out there who don't believe in God. And I know there are a lot of people who just aren't religious in general. But I will tell you that having a faith system really does help in times like this. It helps you to get over the kind of fear, the negativity, or whatever emotional anguish comes. It really does help. And I know I would not be here today without God. I would not be alive right now because there was a time in my life where I was suicidal and just filled with that same negativity that a lot of people are filled with now. Hating the world, hating everything about the world, wanting to see the worst in people, seeing the worst in myself, and hating myself because I wasn't good enough or I felt like I wasn't who I wanted to be. And, one of the only reasons that I'm still here is because, God put in place people in my life who I cared about more than I cared for me. People like my mom and my dad and, some of my friends, people who I knew cared deeply about me and would be hurt if I just suddenly disappeared. It's because of those people, the people that he put in my life, that I'm still here today and that I'm now living for myself and that I have the confidence to get on camera when it's not something that I'm really comfortable doing and just speaking my thoughts with all of you, because I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but whatever. I don't really care that I'm jumping all over the place. I just want to get across that, since it's almost Thanksgiving, and not even because it's almost Thanksgiving, but just in general, we should be thankful that we live in a country where we can protest if we want to. That we live in a country where our voices aren't stifled in the way that we think they are. We live in a country where we can freely say what we want to say whenever we want. We don't live in a terrible place. Despite everything crazy that's going on, the United States of America is still one of the best countries on earth to live in. I mean, there is a reason why we have so many immigrants that come here, because they want a better future and they want more opportunities. And this is one of the best countries for that. So we need to be thankful for what we have. We need to be thankful for the people in our lives. We need to be thankful for everything, really. Good or bad. We need to be thankful that, we're alive and breathing, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The world could end tomorrow for all we know. Or a person could die in a car crash. You could, die tomorrow. Just by walking across the street. Bad things happen every day in terms of that sort of thing. And so when you put that into perspective, it makes you more thankful for, your own life. Oop, and I tapped the microphone. It makes you so much more thankful for everything. For the sights that you see, especially like if you go travel and you start to see the world and see different cultures, it just makes you thankful for everything you've got. And we all should be thankful. We should all be approaching this post-election differently. We should be approaching it in a more positive way, regardless of whether the candidate you wanted got in or not. We should be more positive. We should contribute to positivity. We should be happy that we're free. That we should be happy that, there is going to be a peaceful transfer of power. And we should be happy that, regardless of whoever got in, changes are coming. And, we just need to be thankful for what we have. I mean, I can't say that enough. I know I'm probably rambling at this point, but I just cannot say that enough. We need to be thankful for everything we have. We are so blessed, and a lot of the time, we just continue to complain and complain. And honestly, if you want to change the world, if you want to make the world a better place, if you want to see people do better things, if you want to see yourself achieve better things, you have to change your own thinking first before you can do anything for the world. You have to be the change you want to see. You have to put forth a message of love. You have to put forth an attitude of respect. You have to walk and talk like, well, for one, you have to walk and talk like you got some sense. And I'm not going to say that every person in America has been acting crazy, because obviously not everyone has. But again, the main thing that a lot of us have to do, we just have to be stronger in our minds. We have to take the time to seek understanding, to research. We can't just make a bunch of claims, and say that things are this way and things are this way without backing them up. And a lot of people, a lot of the reason why a lot of this has escalated so far is because people have been getting frustrated because they just can't back up their own points. But when you research and you know what you're talking about and you have a sense of why you're doing what you're doing, you don't have that frustration. You don't get into those arguments. You can have a discussion with people and disagree and it not turn into something crazy and hateful, which in a lot of cases it has. A lot of cases, even in my own life, things have turned into mess like that. And it's never okay. I really can't say that enough either. It's just not okay to not be able to have a discussion with someone that you don't agree with and it turned into something hateful. It makes no sense. It's it's almost like a testament to a lack of maturity in people today. And we just kind of have to grow up a little bit. We have to understand that, regardless of disappointments, we can grow past those things. And we don't have to attack one another to make our points. And, oh, I've been talking for 21 minutes. Okay, I guess I'll wrap this up and just say, thank you to anybody who listens to this and kind of understands where I'm coming from. I know I got really long-winded, and it'll probably be edited shorter, probably won't be this long, but yeah. Um, this has been Lillymu961, and I appreciate you guys listening, and thanks again to pretty much anybody who has impacted my life, period. There's a lot of people even on YouTube who don't know it, but have impacted my life greatly and have given me the courage to do this, to speak on camera, because it is not something that I'm really comfortable with, but I'm doing it. And, I appreciate those people very, very much, and I want them to know that. So, yeah. So, and I tapped the microphone again. Thank you.